what's going on. And so I brought my boat. And so I'm like paddling down the river in this boat, hoping to find something. And I find George out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, George, there's these buttholes in the desert that killed me. Where are they? And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. They're probably pillagers. And so I'm looking it up on the internet, and it's like the thing randomly like shows up. And so I thought that meant like it moved. And he's like, oh no, it stays in one place. And he's like, Wes is coming. And so I'm out in the middle of the desert, just like standing on a hill, looking all around in this game at nothingness. Like maybe Wes will show up. Wes has super magical powers. Wes finds people. Like a single brick tower, like 80 bricks high, or 60. Well, I had 64 bricks high. I put all my stuff in a chest at the bottom, and then I jump off and commit suicide because I put a bed down there. And so I'm just waiting for Wes. I'm like, there's a giant tower, find a giant tower. And he never finds it. And so I get back in the boat, and it's like, it's just stupid, like incredible, like Homeward Bound style journey where I'm just like paddling down this river, and I see Wes's little like diamond suited Voltron character jumping across the hill. I'm like, Wes, it's me. I found you. It's so dumb. And then we're walking around in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, George knows where the thing is. He talked to Nicole. And all three of us, like, I'm like, we got a strategy. We know where the thing is. I'm like, it's stinking go time. And I Leroy Jenkins straight at the thing. Just start swatting and crossbowing and killing. And I'm looking around, and they're swatting and killing. And so we smite all of these guys, these pillagers or whoever they are in Minecraft. And we're like, yeah, this is cool. And I find all my stuff from where like my dead carcass used to be. Got all my stuff back. And I'm like, can we light this thing on fire? I'm like, because I really want to stick it to these guys. And Wes was like, sure, no problem. Like, happens to finds a little thing of lava, gets up in the top, makes a little lava waterfalls, engulfs the entire thing in lava. And now there's this like massive fixture off in the distance in our Minecraft world. This is just lava like flow. And it felt really good in this dumb quarantine time to like seek vengeance and to spite people. It felt really nice. And then I'm like, all right, I'm tired. That was great.
It's like a monolith of just pure hatred.
Like the Nakatomi Tower in Die Hard just like erupted in volcano instead of fire on the top. Pouring everywhere. Yeah, it looked like it was flipping us off. It was so silly. Yep. Yeah, because I remember like looking around in the game, and it was kind of dark down here, so I was fully in it. And I look around and I see George and Wes like standing there in the glow of this like burned down revenge sport. I'm like, this is the silliest and most proud I have been in a video game in a long time. Uh-huh. Yep. The credits were rolling as we were standing there. Yeah. And it was 11 or midnight. I don't remember what time it was. I was getting tired. I'm like, all right, guys, we finally make it back to like our little community. And again, I feel like Bilbo, like just conquered Smaug. And I'm like, all right, it's time for me to be done. I'm going to bed. And Wes like, hold on, we're gonna blow something up real quick. So then just like a bunch of dudes would do when they're bored and there's nothing to do and it's late at night. It was like a very hold my beer kind of moment. And they loaded up Donovan's old house with a bunch of TNT and blew it up.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, we are
send
like,
me a picture.
Yeah.
Hey, remember this house?
That's the video I saw.
From when you first started playing the game that you spent hours and hours on? It's gone now.
It was very like we're hanging out at night drinking some beers moments in Minecraft that we had last night. It was so silly, but very cathartic. Like I felt really good. I hadn't hung out with really any live people, so I guess that's as close as we can get to like Geeks. That's cool. It's good to know that. It was good to know that I had my homies. We could smite some people.
Like
George
LAN
was like,
parties and days of yore.
yeah. He was like, "Why do you care?" I'm like, "They killed me, and I have to get revenge on these people." He's like, "Okay." So how are you guys?
Doing
Sean, you need a
pretty
haircut.
good. I know. The madness on the inside is starting to reflect on the outside now. When all this started, I said, you know what? Let's see what happens if I don't shave or don't cut my hair the entire time.
I tried that.
I'm not sure I'm going to make it through.
I just put my hat on every day.
Yeah. I started looking pretty homeless, so I had to shave at least.
I'm already there. I look homeless.
I think I'm gonna give my son a haircut tomorrow, which I've done it before. Like I gave him his first haircut, and I've done like barracks haircuts when I was in the army, and they weren't that great. But I'm gonna try my hand at it because why not? He doesn't care. He doesn't know anybody.
My wife just cut my son's hair, and he was so squirmy that it looks stylistic, but he is like so many waves on the sides and the back of his head from everywhere. He like moved because he was so squirmy that he's got wave patterns all over his head. But he's 5 and it doesn't matter, so he's fine with it.
I thought about making old man hair on my oldest son, shave like super on top, just leaving that little
Homer Simpson?
that ears around the back.
Yeah.
That'd be so mean.
In Navy boot camp, whenever people showed up, did the barbers like mess with people, or did they just like shave your head and you walked out the door?
Complete straight shave as close as they can get without using a razor blade. Yeah.
Yeah,
When
they
you
did
first
that
got
with
there.
just about everybody. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're like your first day, and
Yeah.
there were some people that had big like poofy hair, and they
Oh,
would
yeah.
mess with people. They would
Oh,
shave
yeah.
everything except for like a circle on the back of their head,
All right.
and have them walk out the door and then get screamed at, and then they would have to walk right back in and finish. That was fun.
Which
Donovan,
guys-
how's work?
Busy. Very busy. We just started a new department at our facility, which we make valves. We make and repair valves. And there's lots of other companies that make and repair valves that right now have like surplus of valves literally just sitting in a stockyard at the back of their facilities, kind of like we do. And so my boss got the idea to be a distributor for surplus valves. So he bought a domain. He talked to a couple other companies in town and put together a plan and a program to take on all of their surplus valves and be like a broker for them. We get a percentage of, what we sell the valves for. We can store them for a fee if they want. If not, then we just host a website where they post what valves they have for sale and we sell them for them. So I'm one of the people taking over that department, and so it's gotten very, very busy at work.
It's a very niche kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
It reminds
very
me
niche
of
kinda
like
thing.
Hank Hill and his like propane tank accessories kind of thing.
Was this to like other like big oil companies? Like what when you talk about valves, like give me an idea of what we're thinking of. Is it like the size of like a
So we like
basketball,
sell
the size of a car?
valves for like Baker Hughes and Schlumberger. They're
Schlumberger,
oil.
yeah, of course. No, I have no idea what that means.
They're oil. They mine. Been playing Minecraft.
Slurp?
All I can think is harvest and mining. They slurp up the oil. What is the word for
Extract?
it? Extract. Yeah.
How about
So-
drill?
Derek?
They're the companies that actually do this stuff, and we're the company that supplies the stuff that they use to get the stuff. I'm so eloquent.
That was very well put. It made perfect sense. So is there such a disparity in the oil industry that they would need different types of valves? Like I would imagine the slurping
because
process being somewhat standardized, and then the pipeline process, like a pipeline is yay big, the valve would need to fit onto that pipe.
Because every refinery refines different things, whether it's the crude, whether it's the natural gas that's a byproduct of the oil, whether it's the petroleum, whether it's the wax, whether it's the oil makes a bajillion different things that come out of this one crude material. And so there's facilities that process it all. And each one of these facilities has about 800 valves that control the flow of everything that goes through their facility. And so we're the engine to General Motors. We don't build the car, but we build the engine that General Motors puts in the car to make the car go. If that makes sense.
Perfect sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's good being in this industry, especially at this time, because there's always work to be had, regardless of what's going on with the economy. So I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky to still have a job because I know a lot of people are either furloughed or quarantined or everything like that. So I count myself lucky, even though it's hard watching everybody build, have the time to build all this really cool stuff that I only dream of doing on the weekends when my kids are asleep. But other than that, been doing good. Staying busy.
Sean, is the education system in Southern California still going strong?
Well, we're on spring break right now, so we get a little bit of a reprieve, but it's back up and running in full swing on Monday with some new things in place, like a full schedule and just knowing that this is going to be kind of life going forward. So
wait, hold on. What do you mean, like things full and back in full swing, like kids are at school?
Well, no. Okay, so what I mean is that
distance learning, right?
Well, yeah, but see, from the time that all this started for us till say like last Friday, we were expected to provide content every single day, but there wasn't a clear outline of responsibility on teachers' part and students' part, other than we were supposed to be trying to provide content, and whatever work that the students did was only going to be benefiting their grades. So like their grade could only go up from doing the work, because we had to assess every student's individual capacity for getting online. There's a lot of students that don't have internet access, so we can't hold them accountable for work that they can't see or do. But the district has been working hard to make sure that those students now have access, and that now starting Monday, it's distance learning, but now everything counts. So they're more responsible for all their work. We have an hour every day for each different class for doing kind of like almost like an office hour type thing. If they want to hop on to like Google Hangout and get one-on-one help, they can, but I have to be available and on the call during that hour every day for like a different class. It's all kind of like mapped out. It'll be like that now, basically from now until the end of the year. So be interesting.
Sounds very similar to what Samantha and Grant's school is. Like it was sort of, they were like in a weird limbo-y kind of state when it all kind of went on. It was basically like a pause, like right before when everything was happening. And so they're starting back Monday as well with like an outline of, like I say, a schedule, and they kind of we're like kind of clearing out a spot in the house for Grant and Samantha so they can both kind of be in their own like quiet areas to do like, this is your spot for work. We kind of just like took over the kitchen table last time when it was just me sort of trying to supplement the little that I knew where they were at sort of at school already. But they actually have a curriculum now, and they're not sure how the grading part's going to go. They said they're still having to meet a lot with the school board and like the North Carolina Education like consortium or whatever it is, the overarching
Yeah.
body that regulates all that stuff, just to see how the details are. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be normal. I don't know, like school hours. I'm not really sure. I have to look at the schedule again, but there's similar like blocks of time, like you were just describing for them as well.
Yeah. I'm still supposed to work my regular 8 to 3, even though I only have that 1 hour of actually being on the call. But then I'm supposed to be, per our contract, available by phone or in the computer, basically during those 8 hours. That's kind of our agreement. And then on Monday, I'm supposed to be going into the campus to pick up a couple items because, now that we're going to be out, so I'm going to see if I could get my full-size tablet, my printer, and then maybe one of the 3D printers too, because it's just sitting there doing nothing, so might as well bring it here and put it to work.
Yep. What else you guys been working on?
How about you, Josh? You haven't talked about what you've been doing.
I've been working from home. And honestly, I've worked more probably from home than I have when I was at Bob's. Like it's more of like a dense workload than like we have this amount of stuff to do when we would take little interstitial breaks to like have stupid Star Wars conversations or whatever. And now those aren't there. So now I just have like a workload of stuff to do. We have a meeting in the morning. We all split up and do our tasks, and then we all kind of come together. Yeah, I put out a video today, so I had to do all that. Wednesdays and Thursday is like my busy take the thing, make all the blog posts, send it out to the world kind of time. So the last couple of days I've been pretty busy with that. And I don't know, when I'm not doing that stuff, trying to put that motorcycle together and playing Minecraft. So
yeah, I just put out that garden bed video.
it was cute. It was quick.
Yeah. It was fun. It was the fastest project I think I've ever made in my life. All of us worked together and we shot it and built it all in an evening.
Yeah.
And then filled it and planted it and, got a couple of follow-up shots the next morning after my laser cutter still isn't cutting. And so it would like trace out all of the shapes for all those little veggie signs. And I would have to go with a pair of pliers and break apart all the pieces and then glue everything back together because I would eventually break everything apart. So the day after, I got a couple follow-up shots and then edited it and released it. And yeah, it was done. It was quick. It was a fun project. The video is up to 300 views. Not trying to brag or anything.
I mean, hey.
But
well, YouTube time has been kind of interesting lately. Like the norm has kind of shifted. People who would watch things on their lunch break don't have lunch breaks anymore. And like my YouTube recommended feed is nothing but motorcycle stuff, where it used to be all of our favorite woodworking people. And so I think the people that are like trying to bake bread and who are like, I'm going to try this new cool thing that I've been putting off, like that thing is now consuming their recommended videos, or we don't know. Like stuff has been kind of not like consistently down, but consistently inconsistent.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I did this particular project was because I thought it would be applicable to a lot of people who are home, especially with kids and who want to like build a garden or, try something new. And that's why I featured the kids in it, even though I'm terrified that I'm going to get like comments disabled and demonetized and all that kind of stuff because of everything that's been happening with Sean over the last couple years.
Yeah, it gets no more like 6 months, but it's even stranger because I had comments turned on for my last video for the laser one. I'm like, yeah, that's great. I get to talk to people again. And then 3 days later, they turned them off.
Really?
Yes. I am so pissed.
The shop class videos they have, like Bob's Kids, I edited in tons of times in there. They're still fine. They work. Yeah,
there's something fishy going on. And their response is, oh, we just haven't gotten to everybody's video yet. No, don't give me that crap. There's something else going on. And I don't know what it is. I don't know how to justify it. I don't know.
Yeah. So now that I've got that done, I'm working on finishing up the Star Wars desk. I got the pieces cut out of the catalogs for the bow ties, and then I just need to I just need to route the shapes out of the desk itself and inlay the Star Wars fighters, and then fill it with epoxy. And I was gonna try and hide a little cell phone charger under the desk, and then put a little Rebel insignia on the top of the desk. So when you put your phone, Rebel insignia charges your phone. But apparently, stores around here are not selling non-essential items anymore, and so I don't know if I can get my hands on one. I don't know. It's been a while
Target
since I've been
usually
to the
has them.
store, so yeah, it's been all over the news. Like Walmart and Target no longer selling non-food related items or something like that.
Huh.
I don't know. I don't know how much of it is true because, like I said, I haven't been in the store in a while. But that was something that popped up in my news feed today as I was perusing what's going on in the outside world.
Weird.
I find it's best to avoid such things. I did, though. I had to go to Lowe's yesterday, and it really made me pretty anxious and pretty nervous because they had a bunch of landscaping timbers like creating a line outside because they can only have 200 people in the store at any given time. All the people were wearing masks. I'd say about a third of the customers are wearing masks. They had these impromptu big plastic sneeze guard, like teller at the bank style walls in front of people. And when I went, it was really busy and they were moving around a bunch of stuff. And there were a lot of people like hollering to other people across the store. It felt super chaotic and scary. And I'm like, I just need a little PVC fitting because my furnace started leaking. So I had to go fix it really quick. And I remember going in there and just like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I want to be out of this store as quickly as possible. And yeah, I don't want to go back.
Were you wearing a mask?
I was not wearing a mask. My wife has been feverishly making, well, feverishly is probably the wrong word. She has been like pumping out masks. She's been getting orders from friends that we know that are nurses, like the local hospital here and some other people. And I've been printing those little backstrap thingies that hold the elastic so they don't have to touch people's ears. But no, I was not wearing a mask. I am waiting. Actually, I just probably don't want to go outside anymore. But I'm waiting on Do 3D. Do you guys know who Do 3D is?
No.
So I think it's a group. It's definitely more than one person. A group of 3D modelers that do paid 3D models for like helmets and suits of armor and movie and property related items. They're coming out with like a free set of respirator-ish like character masks that you can 3D print.
Like Bane or something?
They've got one for, like Bane. They have Sub-Zero and Scorpion. They have the Killmonger and the Black Panther that you can like put little filters and stuff on the inside of the mask and you can like wear it around. I'm holding out for one of those. I can make my own.
See, I would wear those. It's
the FDA just approved the first 3D printed mask. I think the CDC might have also. I don't know if that matters for the ones that you're talking about, but I know that they're finally kind of embracing the fact that people could do this at home and
And people have been doing this at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but there's some organizations though where if you work for them, you can't wear those or they don't allow you to wear those yet. But now it looks like since one officially got approved, that might quickly be changing.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the masks that I see people wearing are like either the really thin light blue surgical masks, or since this is Oklahoma, I've seen so many people wearing bandanas. So many people wearing bandanas. I'm like, we about to rob a place or something. And it's I was like, yeah, those don't do anything. They don't. But it would be cool to like have one that's yeah.
So I think the thing with that is if you get a droplet on that, I don't know if it's necessarily it can't filter everything out, but it's like you don't have a barrier from the wetness, something in between, and then your possible wetness, or it doesn't keep your breath in.
Well, masks are effective for people who are already sick to keep from getting other people sick.
Yeah,
but if you're around somebody that's sick, viruses, it's like trying to stop marbles with a chain link fence. It just goes through. And so it's not effective for the purpose that people think it's effective.
But the viruses aren't free floating, they're attached to droplets of moisture.
Yep.
Well, this one's also airborne, so I mean it's
on moisture.
Yeah, it's moisture. It's spit.
It's not airborne.
So it gets sneezed on, or it can live on a surface. It doesn't float around like a candle in a breeze.
Yeah.
Like it's the moisture barrier, and that's where some people were having those. I'd say they're RZ masks, but they have those little diaphragm filters that when you breathe in, the filter clogs, and you breathe in through the mesh.
Oh, like those 3M ones that go on either side of your face.
Yeah, but those are constant. I'm talking about the ones that has a little round like diaphragm valve. And so those, when you breathe out, they open and let your breath go out. And then when you inhale, it clogs up and you breathe in through the mesh. So those are doing nothing because it is expelling your moist breath out into the world. Like that's defeating the purpose. The whole purpose is to keep your breath and other people's breath inside your little barrier and inside their little barrier. And so a bandana, I mean, it's probably not FDA approved because of certain filtration or whatever, but it's keeping your humid, virus potentially filled stank breath inside your own little biosphere if you have enough layers.
And the issue, like you mentioned about the recommendation of only wearing them when you have symptoms is that's part of the problem is that you can be contagious when you don't have yet to display symptoms if you already have it and you don't know it yet. Yeah. So the idea is like you treat yourself as you already have it regardless, and then it like puts a huge stomp to it, you know.
The county I live in made it mandatory that if you are outside of your house, you are to be wearing a mask. I mean, I'm probably not like your front yard, but like if you're driving somewhere, like even in the car, you're supposed to be wearing a mask. And that's just, I think it's a precaution of getting people to think a little bit more about just protecting themselves and others around them. And, you know, even though in your car, it's, you know, there's nobody else around, but I think it's just the visual indicator of that. And if you're not, it's punishable by fine now.
Wow. No, it's a federal recommendation. The military is so funny right now because they're freaking out. Because for the longest time, they would just ignore it because the whole rest of the world was like, oh, my God, this thing is happening. Everybody needs to shelter in place and stay away. And they're like, yeah, whatever. Everybody show up at 6:30 in the morning and stand right next to each other just because you have to work here and we don't know what else to do. To like the next day, it's you are not allowed to go off base. You are not allowed to do any of these things. You have to wear a mask all the time. And so it's this huge, massive bipolar kind of swing. And my brother, who's still in the Navy, was like, yeah, I have to get these masks. I can't get them anywhere. And they have to be in accordance with like their uniform regulations. So like the military does not issue a surgical mask to people. So they have to relax their standards. But because they're the Army or because they're the Navy, they're going to have people with like a bunch of curse words all over their homemade mask because you told me to wear a mask. And so they put out guidance. So he has to wear one that is within a certain color palette, like these 3 different colors.
Yep.
So my niece had to take a bunch of his old T-shirts and cut up a bunch of his old T-shirts, and Tiffany was FaceTiming with her to show her how to sew up these masks, just so they could be. Yeah, he could wear them. He could pass them out to people, like at work, so he could be in accordance with these new made-up kind of buffer uniform regulations.
Mm-hmm.
There's people getting arrested for like being off base at a bar. And you're like, you're not, if you live on base, you're not supposed to be, you have to call your supervisor. If you just like, I live in my house, I don't live on base. I would have to call my supervisor and tell them I'm leaving my own home, why I'm leaving my own home. And then I would have to wait for approval from my commander to leave my own home. They're getting crazy. And it's really funny to watch as a veteran, as an outsider, because the military is stupid. And they handle things stupidly. And so to watch all the individual accounts of that stupidity just makes me giggle in my happy heart.
My brother was just deployed to another country that I'm probably not supposed to say.
Nope.
For some reason regarding, I don't know if it's related to any of this, but he said that things are pretty intense where they are too. So kind of a weird time for that.
Yep.
Yeah, on the USS Teddy Roosevelt aircraft carrier in the
man.
Navy. Did you hear about all that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they obviously, this is a little bit old news now. It broke out, I guess, maybe a week or more ago, whatever. And the captain of the ship basically issued like a statement or a letter, and I don't how it got out. It's not really clear, I think, at this point. But somehow a letter got out that he wrote that basically is just saying, "Hey, we need help because everybody's getting infected, and there's no way
61% infection rate for people on the ship."
Yeah.
And it was getting worse.
Yeah, and they had to pull into Guam, and they try to evacuate the people that were symptomatic off the ship because there's no such thing as social distancing on a ship. It's impossible. And as of today, there's over 400 cases on that ship, and because he did that, the Navy fired the captain because they said it was kind of displaying like a weakness and like a void in that their theater, because like they're saying the ship is basically disabled, and so it shows like it's like security
as a PR stunt.
They did,
because he jumped the chain of command and he leaked a memo to the public to try to make people look bad. Because
I can see how they would play it where it was like a sec rep kind of thing where he's basically like what you just said, Sean, about you don't want to say where your brother's stationed. They're not supposed to say where the carrier is at any point. Hey, we're in Guam now. Well, now you know where it is. It makes it sort of like a big target, and also the place that area that is their theater of patrol. Now there's one less carrier if your person. Yeah, I can see it. There is. It's better to not have that information out there. I understand, in some regards, but the acting secretary of the Navy just got fired too. So.
Didn't he resign?
Well, come on.
Well, no, the story gets better. So the Navy captain wrote the Department of Defense and was like, "These guys, I need some help." Nobody did anything to help.
Yep.
And in lieu of guidance, you're supposed to just keep doing what you're doing, even though it may be completely stupid. And you're like, "I'm about to run into a minefield. Can I turn around?" And while you're waiting for the order to turn around, you got to keep going. And so he didn't. So this letter got leaked. The Secretary of the Navy got mad, flew all the way out to Guam, addressed the sailors on the ship who think this guy is a hero, gave him a hero's departure when he got off the ship.
Yep.
He got on the ship, got over the intercom, and pretty much told everybody that guy was stupid, or he was naive, or like, was he thinking doing this? Like, telling all of the Vikings in the mead hall that the king is a coward and the king is stupid. Like, that's not going to go over real well. So everybody from all the branches pretty much told the Secretary of the Navy that he's a piece of crap and needs to be fired, and how dare he do that. And I didn't know he actually got fired.
Yep.
Interesting.
He was the acting one too, because the one that was actually the real Secretary of the Navy, quote unquote, he left under previous things before all this COVID stuff. It was like, it's a whole other story why he got let go or he left. But yeah, and it's no surprise that any of that cabinet is in constant flux. Yeah. Anyways, we don't usually get political on this show, but yeah, so it's affecting everybody.
In moments like this, it makes me happy that I'm not in the military.
Yeah.
Because as much as the civilian population like kind of doesn't know what to do with themselves and is bored,
it's worse there.
And is like, its stuff is weird. I have to telecommute. The military looks and just like they would have no idea what to do. They're completely ill prepared for something like this. And you would think that like, oh, when the National Guard shows up, everything is going to be okay. They are just as like, I wouldn't say dumb. Nobody's dumb. They are unprepared for any given situation other than like invading a country. So if they need to set up a hospital, it's literally a bunch of dudes putting up a tent and then sitting around in a smoking circle doing nothing next to each other. So like they're not prepared for things like this, and it's really funny to watch people scramble.
And
And
unfortunately,
then they're like very
yeah.
vocally talk
Yeah.
a bunch of trash about how stupid everything is. It's fun.
So, what else are you guys doing? We've talked about this a little bit, but maybe not as directly. What else are you guys doing to kind of keep yourselves busy or stay sane? Are you kind of adopting new schedules during the day, just to give yourself some sort of structure? I know, Donovan, you're probably kind of an outlier here, but
Yeah.
I'm sure with other things going on around you that you might have to make some additional adjustments too.
Myself, so on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I'm trying to have more of a carved out time that I can be in the shop and do shop things. All the other, and it's not completely exclusive, but that's the days I've sort of set aside for shop related stuff. Since I have the podcast recording on Thursdays, I have another maker meeting related to the local group that I run. It's on Wednesdays. And so Tuesdays I threw that in there as well just to make a little block. And so that runs through dinner sometimes, even like so Catherine's doing like bedtime sort of routine for the kids on those nights. I've been trying to use some of that time to do Twitch stuff, but I haven't actually been able to get that going. I've just been too involved in the current project I'm working on. But yeah, that's the only schedule I have at this point. That'll have to shift a little bit in the coming week when the kids go back to quote unquote school. But I had to have some sort of structure of some sort of milestone in the week, or else I didn't know what day of the week it was, and that doesn't feel good. So, as loose as it is, that's the one I have.
That's
Yeah. I've always had to have a watch that told me what day, not just the date, because I never knew what day it was, and this makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, Sean, you mentioned getting on the podcast. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Thursday, and I released a video today that was luckily scheduled because right now, please don't rely on me to tell anybody what day of the week it is. I've tried to do more with the kids, but they make it really difficult. They're all bored, and I know they're bored, and I have work to do, and I'm not good at working from home because I want to do everything I need to do and then be finished so that I can go focus over there. So like me coming home from work, I can like take that off. I can put on my family time kind of hat. And now those worlds are blurred, and it's not easy for me. And all the kids want to do is play, and I try to play with them, but then they're so overwhelming that it's difficult. And so this is an exercise for me in being patient and trying to have individual one-on-one time with the kids while still trying to get my work done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fold the kids into doing more shoppy kind of stuff as well, since they didn't really have that opportunity at this current state, unless it's a weekend, which usually we're out and about doing, traveling or camping or whatever during normal non-COVID season, as Grant calls it. He calls right now virus season.
COVID season.
Yeah, he calls
Virus
it
season.
virus season. He's like, once the virus season's over, we'll be able to go camping, right, Dad? And go visit our friends, right? Yeah, so virus season.
I took the kids out
Rabbit season.
the other
Virus
day.
season.
Rabbit
Rabbit season.
We had like a car ride. Like I went up to Louisville, and I had to drop something off at Anthony's house, and just like we went for a ride because I had to get out of the house. I gave Tiff some free time, and we got in the car, and my middle son was like, "We're going to the comic book store." I'm like, "No, buddy." He goes, "Is it closed because it's Sunday?" And I'm like, "Well, no, it's not Sunday." He's like, "So we're going to the comic book store." I'm like, "Well, no, but they're closed." He's like, "So it is Sunday." And my oldest son understands the virus and all this, but my other two don't. And I'm like, yeah, sure, it could be Sunday. Hell, I don't know. There's no way of knowing.
I've been trying to do a very similar schedule to what I was doing when school was in, because it's spring break for us right now. And I basically get up, make coffee, get the kids kind of going in their morning a little bit, and then I kind of sit in the office for a couple hours. And right now I'm working a lot in Blender. doing some 3D work. So I'm doing something digitally in front of the computer. And then once my butt starts to feel numb, I kind of get up and, try to move a little bit and check on my wife, who is then working. She's turned a part of her bedroom into her office, so she's working in there. She has calls that she's doing with the different stuff and different work that she's doing. And my kids are pretty well self-directed right now. They bounce between, doing projects on their own, Legos, puzzles, drawing, and then usually outside. Except that almost since spring break has started, it's been raining nonstop here, which is really kind of a bummer. But making Easter decorations now, and yeah, I guess that's about it.
Yeah, one of the things I did, it's been like a couple weeks now since I issued this project, basically. When I was sort of going over school time with the kids, I kind of remembered how when I was Samantha's age, like making like book reports and little reports on different things was something that stands out in my mind, like writing an outline and having like paragraphs and all this. And so I distinctly remember writing a report on a certain animal that you choose. And so I sort of pitched that to Samantha, like, hey, you and Grant choose an animal to kind of make a report about. And she's like, well, I don't really know what that means. And so I found like a little outline online, like for a third grader kind of level of like, here's what you research here, what's the animal's diet, where does it come from, what's its Latin name, all these things that they normally wouldn't put together and collate into one thing. And then she also was like sort of regurgitating what she learned to Grant, who was sitting there beside her. And then she was having him like draw like the pictures of the Tasmanian devil. And so they've been like collaborating and like adding to this report over the last couple weeks. So every week I'm like, oh, it's due next week. And then the week comes, I'm like, oh, it's due next week. And I keep doing that just because other things have been coming up and everything.
That's your first draft.
That's right. And it's funny, like before that we were going over animals, and I kind of went into like animal kingdom stuff and, all the classifications of like, what's a mollusk, all these things that you don't really hear a lot unless you're in elementary school or middle school or whatever. So I was trying to get them to name all the crustaceans that they could think of, like around our house, and all these different weird little things, like what kind of animals, what are their biomes, and we kind of did a deep dive on all things animal, and that was kind of fun. That took up a couple days, and it kind of let them think of the area that we live in a different way. So it was kind of neat. So yeah. I'd recommend doing that. Maybe try to do a report with the kids, like have them choose an animal. They chose the Tasmanian devil. That's what they're researching. So marsupials and echidnas and all these other interesting animals keep popping up, and they're like, "Ooh, what's that?" And they do like I'll play some of the videos from Steve Irwin's kids, who have like a little channel where they do like a kind of a deep dive on different animals and stuff. And so it's been a good escape. And the San Diego Zoo has a great website, and there's some other National Geographic resources. So if anyone's looking for like a little project to sort of even get all kids kind of into, that could be something, because I could see all your kids being sort of involved in that, Josh. Like I could see your kids like drawing or coloring things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of their homeschool curriculum.
Right.
So like, even though they're not meeting in person,
yeah.
My oldest son and my middle son, they both have reports to do.
Mm-hmm.
And my oldest, he's still working on his big end of term like Vikings report.
Nice.
Which is kind of fun, because he teaches me about there's this king from Norway that tried to invade England and kill Norman the Conqueror, but he died trying, and he was hailed as a failure. But he was a giant and he had a cool name. And he was telling me all about it. And then I found something on Curiosity Stream that talked about him. And he was like, whoa, that's whatever this guy's name was. Like, he was so excited about this super obscure Scandinavian Viking king. And yeah, it's along those lines. Like, pick something kind of obscure, pick something and tell me about it. Like, go research it that you think might be cool. Why is the platypus so strange? Like,
yep.
It was funny you were talking about the animal book reports in the third grade.
Yeah.
And I remember like the first time I had to do that, I was assigned the red wolf. And I went to the library and I had to look up I picked the Encyclopedia Britannica. and it had a whole thing on wolves, and it had like a single sentence on a red wolf. I'm like, well, this sucks. And everybody else had pretty generic ones. I remember everybody at like my table, that girl had elephant and kangaroo and like bison, and I had red wolf. I'm like, well, that's super specific. And I remember my report of being very disappointed with the available information on red wolf.
Man, since I go to work, I can't be involved in this whole process with my kids. And by the time I get home, it's hard because like work has been so busy that when I get home in the evenings, it's right at dinner time. And so I get home, we sit down, we have dinner. And by that time, like I'm just so beat. It's hard to do stuff. And my kids, just like you were saying with your kids, Josh, all they want to do is play. And like my kids just want to play, and like I try to make time for them to play and do a lot of other kind of stuff before I just completely run out of energy. But the other day I was thinking about Elf. I don't know why, Elf on the Shelf. I was like, man, Elf on the Shelf is always fun, during the Christmas time, because every morning the kids would wake up and the first thing that they do after they get ready for the day was go on this like little search for Elf on the Shelf. So I thought about doing, since I can't be here with them during the day, like all the other parents in the neighborhood are, that maybe I can like 3D print little figures or little something, something, and then hide it in the house so that, because I always have to leave for work before they're even up in the mornings. I was like, maybe I could like hide stuff, and then when they get up in the mornings and throughout the day, they can like every day they could try and find the next little figure, so I can still be
engaged,
involved in their day even though I'm not there.
You could do a Cyrus the Virus, and every time they see him, they have to go wash their hands for 20 seconds.
You know what? You should make that a thing, because I think that would sell.
Cyrus the Virus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out what I can attempt to 3D print to be able to hide from my kids.
There's little, I don't have one down here. I think the kids all have them. I think I found it on Thingiverse somewhere. It's little like gems, little like crystalline looking gems that are protruding out of a little base that you can put a little tea light in. I printed some of those in various colors. And the kids use them as like Breath of the Wild style, like, oh, this is an emerald, or these are rubies or sapphires. And those things are pretty cool because it's like a hidden little gem. And they stand probably about 4 or 5 inches tall. And you can shrink them if you want. But like those things are pretty fun because it's like actual treasure. And it looks like treasure.
It's not a bad idea.
So speaking of searching for stuff, and I know that we've been recording for a while already. What are your plans for Easter this year, if you celebrate it at all, given that things are quite different this year? Like, my wife and I
church online every Sunday.
Yeah, we've been doing that too. But so my wife and I are going to do kind of like a treasure hunt in the house for the kids. A bunch of puzzles, almost like an escape room type, except without having to escape the room, but similar puzzles that you would find. And maybe try having some fun with that, since they can't really do much else or seeing any of the other friends that we usually would.
It's a good idea. I haven't really thought about it. We have our little baskets with activities because we don't eat candy in our house because we're that weird family that doesn't have candy in the house, so we don't have like baskets of candy like it's atypical for Easter. But we have like activities and games, and they're into card games a lot lately. As a byproduct of all of this, they really got into card games, which is pretty fun. But
like poker and blackjack?
treasure hunt would be really cool.
What was that, Wes?
I said like poker and blackjack. That sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My son loves to double down. I don't know what that means.
So what kind of card games?
Well, we got like Harry Potter Uno, Once Upon a Time. We've got trying to think of the other ones.
Cards Against Humanity.
No, not Cards Against Humanity. Just these random what is it, like Old Maid and Go Fish,
Yeah.
but themed ones. Because I mean, 7, 5, and 1 are my kids' age,
Right.
so we can't do Cards Against Humanity or Boss Battle or all the fun ones that I used to like to do when we would
Exploding
do
Kittens, yeah.
back when Exploding Kittens, back when we had social lives and once a month we would get 4 or 5 families together to have game night. Yeah, we can't play those yet because they're not old enough. Hogwarts Battle is a fantastic card game, but they wouldn't grasp the concept of like a game like that. So Go Fish and Uno and
Throw Burrito is pretty good. It may be like just outside.
Throw
It's called
Burrito.
Throw Burrito. It's a card game.
Okay.
From the makers of
matching.
Exploding Kittens.
Yeah, you're matching kind of color-coded cards, and each one of them does something different, and it's like a matching card game meets spoons meets dodgeball.
It's quite a combination.
Yeah.
What is the dodgeball element of this game?
You're hitting people with a plush burrito.
Okay.
Yeah. Throw burrito is pretty fun. And you're like chasing each other around the house. Some of them are like you sit across from each other and there's like the burritos in the middle, and then if you get a certain card, you're supposed to pick one up and like hit a certain person with the burrito. And then there's another one that's like a duel where you stand back to back and you walk three paces and you try to hit the other person with burritos. It's pretty fun.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna get that because it's at Target, and I can. If they're still selling, if they're still selling,
it's food. It's burrito. It's got burrito in the name.
Yeah, it's got burrito in the name.
Hey, games are pretty essential.
Yeah, look for a wireless charger while you're there. It's not like they cleared the shelves of everything that they had before.
Right.
I
They
can
didn't
only
take the
imagine
little dollar
what
bins.
eerie post-apocalyptic feel there would be going to a place like Target. You were talking about Lowe's. Our Lowe's is somewhat like that. They've got the blast shield, not the blast, sneeze guards or whatever, up everywhere, and tape on all the floors for 6 feet apart when people are standing in line. But it's not. It hasn't reached the level of like eerie apocalypse yet here. It's not to say that it won't. Apparently, we're behind the times, but I can only imagine what Target's like. Throw burrito. Cool. Thank you for the recommendation. That's fantastic.
Speaking of recommendations, what are you guys geeking out about?
That was smooth.
I'm geeking out about my project I've been working on. So I've been working on this Minecraft.
Which one?
Well, it's the Minecraft project. So I've been working on a Minecraft, basically like a notification light sign or lit sign. So basically, it's the letters of Minecraft that have backlit letters with LEDs, and when a certain person logs in, you like basically pre-describe 8 or 9 people's usernames on a Minecraft server, and it checks the current status of the server against that list. And if, let's say, Donovan's online, it'll illuminate the M blue, and if Josh is online, it'll illuminate the I red, or whatever colors or letters you designate. So it's an easy way to, like, while I'm doing other stuff, if I happen to see, Josh is online and Donovan and Sean, because those letters are lit up, then I'm like, let me jump in there and play. So it's sort of like a not phone-based notification system. And I've been messing with that. I laser cut one of the letters. As you can see, there's the M from Minecraft. I'm holding up for the camera here. Just like a little prototype. And it does work with the light behind it, which is kind of hard to tell on this crappy camera, but...
Oh, it works.
It's cool.
Not
so
ideal.
For his video, we're all going to have to go on at the same time and have
yes,
like a party.
So
And
it's
then
been
log in
fun.
and drop out really quick so they blink.
I've been messing with the laser cut stuff, and it might work. I've ordered some other pieces to sort of get a better design, because each letter in the back behind each letter is going to have to be kind of quarantined to keep the light from bleeding into the next letter, that sort of thing. I got the code mostly worked out. I might transfer it over to a Raspberry Pi Zero W to shrink the form factor. Currently, it's on a Pi 3. But it's been a fun kind of combination of my leisure time, hanging out with you guys playing Minecraft, and kind of rolling a project out of it in something
Smart.
I've been wanting to do. Yeah.
Very cool project, by the
Thank you.
way.
I've been geeking out about a movie that I've been waiting to show my son. We watched it last night. I don't know if any of you remember watching Rad growing up, the BMX bike movie.
Rad?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I have like an old bootleg VHS transfer to DVD copy
Wow.
that my son and I kind of slogged through last night, but he ended up really liking it, and I don't know, it was one of my favorite movies growing up. I always wanted to have one of those bikes so you could do a lot of those tricks, but I didn't. I had a bike that weighed like 50 pounds that I could barely pull a wheelie off with. And we just got him a brand new bike recently because he outgrew his old one. So he has a Mongoose that has the front, the front wheel pegs and the back wheel pegs.
Huh.
He's like, "What are these for? Is that so someone could stand on them?" And I'm like, "Okay, we have to watch the movie now. You'll see what all that stuff is for."
I don't have any recollection of that movie, but I remember wanting a bike with pegs for some reason, so maybe that's why. And it's sort of, I just have lost all recollection of it.
Yep.
Huh.
I wanted to be a Crew Jones growing up. That's how much I liked that movie and doing all those tricks.
Who's in that movie?
So
Aunt Becky was in that movie.
Who?
Aunt Becky was in that movie. That's where I remember that.
Yeah, Lori Loughlin.
I haven't
Yep,
seen
sure
that
was.
movie.
She was the main female lead. And then when I posted on Facebook about it, a bunch of my friends chimed in and said, "Oh wait, the Blu-ray is being released for it this like in June." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome!" So I know what I'll be buying.
I'm gonna have to go watch the trailer for that or something. I haven't seen that one. That's cool.
It's the 80s trope movie.
Yep.
Roller
It's-
Boys. I saw that one. That was a weird one. So I've
No, go ahead.
okay. On nights when I'm up late after the kids have gone to bed, I'm usually like working on stuff in the garage, and sometimes I'll jump on Xbox Live because all my gamer friends are all quarantined at home, so all they do is play video games all day, and they've been playing a game called Division 2, which is a Tom Clancy military tactical game. I've never been into those kind of games at all. Mostly because like every other word out of every other person's mouth is the F word, and it's hard to justify playing a game like that when I have kids. Because anytime I download a game or whatever, they're like, "Ooh, let's play." It's like, let me play it first to see if we can play it together. Anyways, my friends convinced me to get this game. I was very skeptical. I dragged my feet in playing this game because I really didn't want to, because it's never been my style of game or gameplay or anything like that. And I have to say, it's pretty fun. It's I was surprised at how engaging it is, and difficult and fun and frustrating, but not to the point of wanting to throw the controller across the room. And I realized that I am used to playing games like Doom, where you just run and gun, and there's so much like you just run and jump and blast people in the face, and like everything is just so fast. And then you come to a game like this where it's you hide, and then you send a drone, and then you duck around the corner and go pew pew pew, and then you hide again. Like it's slow paced. But it's fun. It's been surprisingly cool, and I would recommend the Division 2 for people that may think they might like a military tactical game on Xbox. And if you want to play with me, iZepic Blue on everything gamer related. If you want to add me, we could play Division 2 together, and I can scream about how horrible I am because I keep dying.
You ready to get your 511 pants and your baseball cap with a Velcro patch on the front?
Yep.
Operator on it?
Yep.
Dope. I have no idea what I'm geeking out about. It's the same stuff because, I mean, this is the world we live in. Playing Minecraft has been fun, like I talked about. And today I took the motorcycle frame out to Bob's farm because there's a welder and some angle grinders out in the middle of nowhere near no one. And I sawed off all the little brackets that don't need to be there. I sawed off, or I tried to before all the batteries died, like the back seat thing, because I got the seat, it's called seat hoop, where the seat goes on top of, and I have to weld that on. So like the frame of the motorcycle is coming together, and that's been pretty exciting too. So I'm making headway with that, and I'm getting excited about it. So technically, geeking out about motorcycle building.
So it doesn't have any power out at the farm? It's all battery powered or what?
No, well, the tools we happen to have are battery operated.
Okay.
We had a battery operated angle grinder, and the batteries kept dying.
Gotcha.
I had to hook up. It had 220 because it was somebody's old, like a dirt bike shop, ranch, barn, whatever thing. And the welder that we have has a different plug, so I had to weld up a 220 plug, and then we bought a brand new welder. So and then I had to set the welder up, and by that time the kids were out like on the trails and out playing around, and they were getting bored and tired, so we left. So sometime this week I'll go back out there and hopefully finish up that chunk of this project so I can move along.
Nice.
Cool. Well, keep it moving along. We would still love to hear from all of you. Yeah, so go ahead and check out our website, makinggeeks.com. We have a contact page on the site where you could directly contact us about the show, anything you'd like to see, questions you have, right there. And then on the homepage of the site, you could listen to all of our past episodes, which is, 179, almost 180 episodes now?
Yep.
It's getting up there fast.
It is.
I know. Yeah.
It is. And one of the things about being stuck at work is that I get to live vicariously through people that are making things. And so it's been really cool to see Josh working on his motorcycle and Wes working on the sign and Sean doing all the stuff in Blender where he's transforming his logo into a 3-dimensional shape, which you're going to 3D print, right? Tell me you're going to 3D print it. You're not going to 3D print it. Should 3D print it and then make a mold and then cast it, and then you'd have it'd be so cool. Anyways, all of us are involved on social media, and so regardless of what any of us are working on at any given time, come find us. Come see what it is. Josh, you can see over at Josh_makes_stuff. Wes, you can see at Geeksmithing. Sean can be found at Geek Builders. I can be found at Once Upon a Workbench.
And we'd like to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/makinggeeks for keeping the lights on here at the show with their financial contributions every week. We definitely appreciate each and every one of you. Come become a patron. Join our Discord of loyal patrons. Play Minecraft with us. Hang out with us. Share what you've been working on. It's been a lot of fun to kind of grow that community and see what everyone's up to. I'd like to thank our top patron, Square Splinter. Thank you so much for your support.
I'd like to thank everybody in the live chats here on the Making Geeks YouTube channel every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the States. And if you're listening to this on Saturday when the show is normally put out, we thank you for that as well. And this is another week. We're still going strong.
Yep.
Everybody stay the course, maintain, endure. And from all of us, all of you, hope you have a fantastic week.
See ya.
Later.
Take care.